Okay, I started recording now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So second part of the workshop. I'm going to give two kind of test cases, two illustrations on how to use noise maps. One for regional management and another one to evaluate a little bit the effects, or at least to, how can I say, to give indicators on the effects or potential effects. This is based on previous work, but I think it's quite illustrative of what can be done. So I hope it will give you some insight on how to exploit the data. And then we will finish by a tour of the web interface on Quonops. So just to help you to start with the interface, and you'll be able to ask me all the questions. Okay, so let's start with the regional management. So this is what I'm going to illustrate is based on work done in the BIAS project, where a tool has been developed for planning and evaluation. So the aim of that tool was to try to reach a decision, a management decision, or at least to guide the managers on that process. This is the material that is used to build up on the decision is based on the noise mapping that has been done in so in the interface you modeling maps. Maybe I should skip a little bit this, which are some details about the tool. Okay, you had a number of features like filter what maps you want to use, identify sound levels, okay, and extract some information. I'm going to illustrate all that. Okay, so all right. It's a little bit old also for me, so maybe it's going to be a bit less smooth. What the tool has been developed to try to give answers to some management questions, and here are some examples of the questions that can be answered using noise maps and the tool. So simple question like, okay, what's the sound level at a certain measurement position? So that's a simple question where you just need to look at the measurement and it will give you percentile values. What is the statistics of the sound in a given area? And then it goes, the questions are getting more and more complex. What is the distribution of the most frequent noise in a particular place, such a Natura 2000 area or whatever place, at a given month? And I'm interested in that month because this is when the population I worry about or I have to manage are harbor purposes, and that's when they return to that particular place. So I'm interested in knowing what is the distribution of the sound. So this is a direct also extraction from the noise maps. Noise maps, with most frequent mean a small percentile, and the map is going to a statistical map for June will answer the question. A bit more complex. What proportion of this essential spawning area for code? So I have an area which is essential for spawning for code. So what proportion of this place is subject to noise levels comparable to code communication level? Because if the question that is behind this is, or the management that is trying to do is, code needs to communicate one with each other in order to spawn. And if this communication is interrupted because the noise level around is too high, then there is a risk for the population, for the population distribution. So the noise map, is the noise map able to answer that question? What is a special coverage in percentage of my area of interest, where the code communication can be masked during that period? Okay, we will go through all this and illustrate how we can exploit the noise maps to answer these kind of questions. This is an interface that was developed in Bias. I'll go through a little bit on the graphical interface. Here you could choose what type of data you want to process. Is it measured data or is it mapping data? Okay. You have to select at some point the area you're interested in, and that was another page actually where you could select your area of interest on the map. Okay. Then you can select the period you want to analyze. Here it's the full year of 2014 from January to December. What frequency you're interested in, and what percentile you are interested in here, from 5 to 95. So if you select your area, measured data, the full year, the 3 frequency, and the median level, it will plot the evolution of the median level across the year for the 3 frequencies here. The color gives you the frequency. So that answers the first question, which is, okay, what is the median levels at that particular position based on the measurement? Okay, so that's a simple question. And you can see that you have some fluctuations, particular after September, where you have a significant drop in the noise levels. At 2 kilohertz, you can see that the drop actually occurred much earlier in May. All right. Second question: what about the soundscape in my marine protected area, for example? So I can select my on the previous page. You can select your area you are interested in again, and here you're going to work with the model data, so with the maps. And do a special analysis. Again, you select your months of interest. So it was June. You select a frequency that is relevant for the species you are studying. Here, 2 kilohertz, because we're interested in harbor porpoises, so we take the highest frequency possible. And you can select here a depth interval, because the noise maps are always calculated across the statistics is always calculated for 3 depth range, from the surface to 15 meters depth, from the surface to the bottom, and from 30 meters to the bottom. So why is these 3 depth intervals? It's because here you will probably be able to, well, the species may be, the habitat actually may be depth dependent. And it basically divides the water column into a surface layer, a bottom layer, and the full water column. So here it has been selected the 0 to 15 meters depth. Okay, and then what percentile I'm interested in, the 5, 20, 75 and 95. Okay, and that gives you, that will extract from the maps. It will give you the proportion of the area in percent. So 100% is the full area I'm in, and it will calculate. That's basically the S curve we were talking about. I was illustrated this morning. All right, where you have a relationship between the sound pressure level and okay, not the percentile, but the proportion of area. Okay, it means that, how can I read this? For example, I can say that half of my area, the noise level exceeds 92 decibels. But 5% of the time, half of my area exceeds 100 decibels. Okay, so from that you start to have quite an interesting information about how your area is insonified by human noise, and how long. Okay, you have both information here. What level, how much of my area is affected by the level, and the time is here in color. You have three types of information here that, if you are willing to put a threshold here, something like, for example, okay, for my population to be healthy, let's imagine that the biologist says, well, according to the area you're considering, this marine protected area, for example, it would be good that 25% of the area does not exceed 100 decibels half of the time. Okay, so here, am I compliant with that kind of threshold? 25% of my area, 100 decibels, give me a point here. Okay, and I can see that actually the sound level half of the time is up to 95 decibels. So I'm fine. I'm 5 or maybe 6 decibels below my threshold. Okay, but if my threshold is to say 25% of the area should not exceed 90 decibels half of the time, here I'm not good, because 90 decibels is, I reach this level for 70% of my area, which is much more than the 25%. So the habitat starts to be significantly insonified, much more than I would like. Then I can decide I need to take action to reduce that noise. Okay, here is a kind of a conclusion at the center frequency of 2 kilohertz, which is a frequency representative of the species I'm studying. At the surface layer, the sound pressure levels exceeds 100 decibels in about 50% of the time of the, 50% of my Natura 2000 area, with this name, very complicated. 5% of the time in June 2014. Is that acceptable? Is a question for the manager. Okay. What coverage in percent of my area of interest, my masking can occur during the spawning period? So here we're talking about code. So for code communication, we look at the low frequency. So we select the low frequency that is representative for the effect I'm looking at, 63 Hertz. Then code is living close to the bottom, so I will select the depth layer that is the bottom. And then I will look at the noise threshold level for ambient noise that will ensure that each individual code can still communicate with the other fish knowing that the herring threshold for the code, the source level of the code, and a typical distance of the fish communicating. So here behind that, there is a little calculation to set what is the good threshold for in which communication among fish will occur without a problem. And that value has been calculated by the people from FOI, and they ended up to be 82 decibels at 63 hertz. Okay. So then in the tool you set the map, the area of interest. You set your threshold at 82 at the 82 decibel contour. You select the period for spawning, which is from March to September. Your representative frequency, which is 63 hertz. The depth layer from 30 meters to the bottom, and you look at the different percentiles. And it gives you this kind of map. So the first comment you can say is that something is happening here in the middle here. You have a kind of seasonal effect, because before April, the situation before April and the situation in July is very different. July and August. Let's have a look at this in more details. The months, what the graph tells you is that the months of June, July, and September are the quietest months of the period. Okay, because you have this drop here, proportion of area. Again, oh, sorry, maybe I should explain that. Here you have the proportion of area that is exposed at 82 decibels, and the color curve for the period of time we are looking at, and for the different percentiles. So what it says that is that the 82 decibels are reached during the entire period at least 5% of the time for all the area. Okay. But it also says that if I look at the median level, it's that half of the time here, for example, in July, half of the time, 82 decibels is reached only for, let's say, 20% of the area. Okay. So here, this is really significant of a drop. It shows that the area is much quieter in summer. Okay, so this is the first reading. However, at rare occasion, so rare occasion, it means here the blue or the red curves, the 5th percentile or the 25th percentile, these two curves here. The threshold level of 82 decibels is surpassed in the entire area, 100% of the area, independently of the months. Means that you always have more than 82 decibels during all the period that covers 100% of the area, but that happens, it's quite rare because that happens only 5% of the time. During the 2 months where I'm interested in here, which is July and August, okay, half of my area, so I look here at this line, this blue line here, half of my area has noise levels sufficiently low to ensure that the communication process for spawning is carried in good condition during a cumulative time of 7 to 8 days per month. Okay, because here I am, my black line crossed the red line, which is the 25th percentile, so 7, 8 days per month, where I do have only half of my, well, half of my area only is reaching that threshold. So I still have half of my area available. Again, if I look at here, if I put my reading here at 20 or 10 to 15% of my area, what is the status in 10 to 15% of my area during these 2 months? Well, the half of the time, because I'm here down to the orange line, half of the time I'm not reaching the threshold of 82 decibels, so I'm in good condition. So half of the time and 10 to 15% of the time during these 2 months. Okay, so it's always a game between proportion of time, a threshold, so a level basically, and the proportion of area for a given period. And with all these 4 dimensions, we can answer questions. Okay, so that was kind of a conclusion. All right. So that was the first test case. Don't know if there is any question before I continue. That's a little bit tough for an after lunch.
No, it's very nice. Thank you. It's really very nice.
Good. Is there any question?
Not for me.
Okay. I will go to the second test case then. So this is something you know very well. There are 3 types of noise. Okay, I don't know why I have this here. Oops, sorry. Yeah, it's because I'm going to talk about masking here. Okay, so this is also a plot you know very well. Frequency, it's in French, so that's maybe new for you. But frequency and frequency band here of the of perception of sensitivity for different species here. If we look at shipping noise, okay, it's there is a conflict between the shipping noise and the communication bands for these different species here in the low frequency. Okay, very well. What are the effects? So the effects can be divided in a number of things. You have a zone of injury, which is basically when you exceed the PTS, so you have a direct damage to the auditorial function of the animals that can't be recovered. A zone of impairment where you have that alteration, but after a certain given time, it comes back to normal. Then you have a behavioral reaction. Okay, so nothing really direct, but the noise level is such that the animal tends to leave the area or to quit the habitat. You have a zone of masking, which is when 2 animals can't communicate with a friend anymore because it's too noisy. It's like in a bar. When it becomes too noisy, you need to get very close to your friend to be able to talk with him. That's exactly what happens. So it's valid for communication between 2 species. It's also valid for catching prey using an echo sounder. It's exactly the same effect. If it becomes noisy, you can't hear the echo anymore. All right. And then 2 other zones where the noise can be audible, but with no known effect so far. Okay. So in this area here, you have direct individual effect. And in this area here, you have it's more indirect effects and long-term population effects. Okay, it's not directly something that happens to an individual, but the consequences of that, of being not being able to communicate as far as I was able to do before, may have population effect at some point. when the animals can't reproduce anymore or reproduce less because they can't communicate anymore or they can't feed anymore. Okay, it's not the same type of effects. And shipping noise is somewhere here. It's very improbable that you have a direct physiological effect. But the main effects of shipping noise, the chronicle noise, is the behavioral reaction and masking. This is just an illustration of what I just said about masking. Let's imagine you have, okay, here. This is cod again. The female is very close to the bottom. The male are more somewhere in the water column. You have usually you have 20 meters here between these two groups. And to reproduce, the female sent a message, acoustic message to the male. And so it's important that the male are able to listen to that signal after 20 meters of propagation. Okay. For the dolphin who wants to eat the cod, I don't know if dolphins eat cods, but it doesn't matter. So they use an echo sounder. So they send an acoustic wave, and they are listening to the echo from the fish that comes back. All right. And that's how they find the prey. So if you add a ship here on top of that, you will increase the level here of the receiver, which is here the male cod or the dolphin. And at some point, if the level that is received from the vessel is higher than the signal from the red, if the blue is higher than the red, they can't find the prey or they can't communicate anymore. And actually, this kind of effect is quite, it is possible to derive from noise maps. Here again, back to the bias project. If you remember, there was a map that was very similar to this one, which was the excess, which was the footprint of shipping above natural noise. Okay, and the scale was from 0 decibels to a few tenths of decibels, so which is the amount of noise that is added for a certain period and a certain percentile, the amount of noise that is added to the natural component, so to the natural context. And that value can be converted to a loss of communication range or detection range. It's the same as a multiplication. I mean, from the normal distance, the normal detection range, if there were no shipping noise. And here, if you look at the scale, for example, when you have 10, which is the yellow, 10 means that you reduce by 10 this distance. For example, the cod. So the cod usually communicate at 20 meters. Okay, let's imagine he can just do it because after the years it has developed so that the source level of the cod is made so that at 20 meters the other cod can listen to the signal. Okay, so let's assume in a normal condition they communicate at 20 meters and that's the best they can do. If they are in a region where it's low, so here along the shipping lane, for example, and some other places, it means that the 20 meters are now 2 meters. Okay, it's divided by 10. Okay, so you understand that here in that places, they won't be able to reproduce, or the dolphin is not be able to catch the prey. We don't quantify the effect, but we know that the effect will be there. Sorry, I will. Okay. So once we are there, the next step which is currently discussed in TG Noise, and that is the purpose of a number of regional projects like JONAS and JOMOPANS, is to mix the pressure maps. So for example, what we just saw here, the excess level here above the natural noise, for example, and find the right metric here, which is not necessarily very easy. Well, that's still under discussion. But here to mix a pressure map with a distribution map, okay, so that you can start to correlate a population, percentage of a population that will be exposed to a certain level of sound across the amount of time they are exposed to a given level, okay? And we start to see this kind of curves here in that 2 dimensions are describing, it's a kind of indicator and describing what is going to be the effect, or at least the risk. It's not the effect, it's the risk. Okay. So this is all the development in place at the moment on all the research that is done on risk indicators. I'm going to illustrate that on a practical case we've done with Jakob Togert on shipping noise and seals. So first, okay, it's in Kattegat, and a lot of vessels transiting through Kattegat, as you can see, either here or here. And okay, they produce some sound, which is very much affected by the local conditions. Here it's very shallow. You can see that the sound at low frequency do not really propagate very far. And that is less true when you're in the deep water in the north and here in the middle of the channel. Okay, so the vessel generates the sound propagates in the medium, and the seals that are living there are exposed to that sound. Good. Just to give you an idea, 7,000 ships per year, which means about 1 ship every 7.5 minutes here along the red lines. So that's quite intensive. And you have a population of seals. And the seals, as far as I understand, I'm not a specialist on seals, so don't ask me too many questions on seals, but as far as I understand, they are using a number of places here. They are living in these places, and more importantly, they're using these places for mating. Okay. And, the males call in June and August. So this is the period for reproduction is June to August. Okay. And the calls play an important role in mating. It's happening below the 200 hertz. So here I have an example of a seal's call here, and frequency. You can see that it lasts quite a long time, but it's below 200 hertz. Okay, so if we look at the 125 hertz bandwidth from shipping, okay, this is a good frequency to work with because it's the frequency of conflict, basically. So again, what is happening, it's exactly the same graph, a bit different, but basically, so they need to send a signal from one to the other one. And if the noise from the vessels at the receiver exceeds the noise that is sent from the sender, of course, this guy is listening to the ship and not listening to the sender anymore, to the friend anymore. All right. So you need it's a signal to noise ratio kind of concept here that you need for communication at the receiver place. Okay. So if the noise increase here at the receiver, to restore the signal to noise ratio, to still be able to listen to the friend, You have three different ways of doing that. Either you ask your sender to speak louder. It's called the Lombard effect. Or you move closer so that you can listen to your friend. Or you turn your head so that you know that's something you do when you can't hear or you don't understand what it's saying. You just turn your head so that you have a better listening. All right. Got the three options. So let's see how we can evaluate that effect and follow that. So here we are interested in the excess. You have the baseline level, which can be here, which is here the natural component, and added to this is a function of frequency. It's just illustrative. When shipping noise occur, okay, your level is raising, and you have an excess, which is the difference between the shipping noise here and the natural conditions here. Okay, this is exactly what I explained before this morning. As increases, the maximum communication goes down, all right, as I explained. And that's a direct consequence of the shipping noise. So what we did in that exercise, we selected 1C. So that was based on all the data that has been produced in BIAS. Okay, so BIAS was 1 year of monthly maps, very similar to the soundscape project and here we extracted the area in the Kattegat. And we took the 125 hertz 1/3 octave band as being the frequency band of conflict. And this is the excess level, so above natural sound. All right, very similar to what I showed before. At different percentiles, the 1% percentile, so which is a kind of very rarely 1% of the time, 10% of the time, 25% of the time, half of the time, and 75% of the time. Okay. So you can see that the white area means that in these white areas, it's the natural noise is still dominant 25% of the time. Okay. And here, when it's covered, you have shipping noise is adding 5, 10, 15, whatever level for that amount of time. So 75% of the time, shipping noise here in this place here is adding 30 dB, 75% of the time. So it's basically always shipping noise there dominating. Okay. And of course, when you are at the low percentiles, you reach higher levels and you have more and more places where it's the shipping noise that is dominating because you're looking at period of time that are shorter. Then we looked at the distribution of the animals. Again, this is all the places, and it has been counted the number of animals, so the density you have, individuals per kilometer square, you have in all these different places. So you know your population, the number, and the density. Okay. Well, here you have the estimated number of males for each site. All right. Voila. So the idea is to now mix this information with the noise map. And we are able to calculate for a given threshold. So we took 3 different thresholds: 6 dB, 20 dB, and 40 dB. So the threshold is based on this scale here in decibels. Okay, so we look at that 6 dB, 20 dB, and 40 dB thresholds. So why these values? I need to look at, 6 dB access level corresponds to a communication range that is divided by 2. So if animal used to communicate with the female at 100 meters, it becomes 50 meters. Okay, a 20 dB threshold corresponds to a communication range that is divided by 10. So here the 100 meters becomes 10 meters. And at 40 dB, it's divided by 100. So the 100 meters becomes 1 meter. There is no communication anymore in the 40 dB threshold. Okay. And what we looked here is for a given area, we are able, or for all the areas inverse time, we are able to quantify what is the proportion of the area that exceeds either 6 dB, 40 dB, or 20 dB. Okay, and these are these three curves here. And once you have a look at your noise map and look at the different area, where are your, how much you exceed here, what is the proportion of area, you can then transform this into a plot, which is how much time you can count, how much time you have reached, you have how can I say? Well, you can make a curve, which is a relationship between the proportion of time and the proportion of area, right? It's the same way you do it. You calculate a percentile. If you draw a line here at 20% of the area, here, and you count how many times you are above with the blue curve, it would give you, let me have a look, at 20% of the area, it's probably 55 or 60% of the time you exceed. So it gives you at 20% of the area, you put a point here at 60. Okay, and you do that for all the percentage of the area between 0 and 40, and you draw this line here. Okay, so what does it tell us? So that's the indicator I was talking about, which is a relationship between the percentage of the area and the percentage of time. Let's have a look at, it's a little bit blurred, I'm sorry for that. Let's have a look at a shallow water place where, because it's shallow water, the exposure to sound is low. All right, so we did the exercise for this particular place. Now you can see there is one difference because I have just one area. I can't really do the rationale on the percentage of the area. Which is here the area. This is a regional assessment. Now I'm looking just at one place, so I'm going to look at the number of animals that is exposed instead of the proportion of area. And I know the number of animals that are living in this dot here. And so I can calculate the proportion of the population in this dot that is experiencing a threshold at 6 dB, 20 dB, or 40 dB, and derive a plot, which is this time a proportion of the population versus proportion of time. And it tells us, I think, okay, what it tells us is that half of the population is experience a communication range divided by 2 only. Well, I say only, but okay, very rarely, maybe a few percent of time. Okay, but 10% of the population has the communication range divided by 2 almost half of the time. Okay. So now up to the biologists to say if this is acceptable or not. But at least we can have here an indicator. If you do did the same exercise at a deeper water place, which is much more exposed to sound, did exactly the same exercise, and what it tells you is that, for example, here, Now it is, I think I talked about the 10% of the population at this area is exposed, has a communication range divided by 2 almost all the time. And that's because the exposure to sound is much higher. And here, even half of the time, 10% of the population is exposed to a threshold of 20 dB. So that's a reduction by 10, which is already enormous. Reduction by 10 of the communication range. Okay. 10% of the population, half of the time. It means that it's very likely half of the time means I'm sorry, but so and that's 10% of the population. So my guess is that that's quite an effect, quite a pressure for the animals. And you can see that for half of the population can't communicate at all for 15% or maybe 20% of the time. Okay, so that's the result. And then you can, of course, so that was for particular sites. You can do that for the whole area. And so this is for the whole population. You can build exactly the same type of curve. %5 of all males experience a communication range reduced by 10 for 25% or more of the time. 20% of all males experience a communication range reduced by 2 half of the time. Voila, that was my last slide. Any question?
Yes, I am Giulio from Venice.
Yeah.
Do you hear me? Hi, Thomas. Thank you very much for this presentation. And my question was about the possibility to use this all these tools you just mentioned to test some scenario. Let's say about for example, close some area to shipping or changing some condition in traffic volumes or other measure that could reduce the emission of underwater noise for ships. So basically, if we change the input information, we can use this tool to compare different scenarios of management, in your opinion?
Yes, of course. So this is the intention at some point.
Okay.
Yes, it's not ready yet, but the plan is to follow that direction. So just the first question was about the tool. So the tool that has been developed in bias is a property of bias. I don't even know really who is, if it's maintained, I'm not sure. I don't think so. So I think the tool is just there, but I don't even know how to access to the tool. It's not a production of us. But I think it's a good illustration. Now, the second question, yes, we can. The intention is to, at some point, to be able to do that, to run some scenarios. And that's the purpose of collaboration in the Saturn project, is to be able to build this capacity.
But in this case, in our case, which probably this should be explored in specific meeting, but for using Quonops, how can we proceed with this? We have to change all the input data from the beginning. Now there is not some already implemented. In example, we will not close an area to traffic already, right?
No, for now.
I don't know if I'm clear.
unless you send, what you could do is to provide a fictive AIS scenario.
Okay, yes.
That would follow a rule like the root is not this one but this one, and so that provides a fictive AIS scenario, and that's something then that could be included into integrated into the Quonops to provide the results, and then you just compare the results of both scenarios.
Okay, so thank you. Sorry, but I don't hear well, but yes, this is exactly what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, feedback.
Any other question?
I do have a practical question, but maybe it's just me that I missed something. So basically, at the end of the project, with all the data that will be processed, then there will be something like the steps you showed before, that we can do some analysis, setting the let's say the location, the real data, or the modeling, or the period. I mean, this would be available, or this is just what you run for bias, and we will have different setting. It's just me that maybe I've lost some steps.
Yes, I was showing here. Let me go back. Where was that? Yeah, that tool here. This is something I don't have that. This is something that is has been developed in bias. Okay, and I don't even know. Maybe you should ask FOI, maybe, who has the code. I don't know.
Okay. This was the question, because
it has been developed by some other partners in the project, in the bias project, but it has been developed actually by Aquabiota, but I'm not sure Aquabiota is maintaining that tool.
Okay, but it's based on your maps. So you create the maps
Exactly.
on
Voilà.
all the computation, and then
Yes.
this interface, it was developed later on.
Exactly. On top of the, we are just providing the input data.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think it's the same philosophy here in the Soundscape project. We are going to provide the monthly maps for the 3 depth layers.
Yeah.
And so for each month, and 7 percentiles. And based on that, you are going to be able to analyze the data sets from different perspectives according to your questions.
Yes. I was just curious. Thank you.
It's basically to produce the noise map is already a big effort. You know, you have all, you know what I'm talking about, all the measurements, organization, logistics, and modeling, and all that. It's a huge step already, but that's just the first tone of the issue, because then once you have produced this, okay, you will need to add some more to be able to analyze it, which is, I think you are working. I remember last meeting when I went to Venice, there was some presentation, I think, on the special planning tool, if I'm correct, or maybe we talked about that in the room with some people, but I think this is the way to go.
Yes, it's already. I mean, I didn't want to lower the value of the maps. I was wondering just this is for me more user friendly way to extract the data from the map. There was just this curiosity. Yeah. I didn't want. I'm really aware of the value of
yes.
The steps.
yeah. I know.
Before this.
Yeah, you're in it, so I know you know. Yeah.
Thomas, this is Andrea speaking from Venice.
Yes.
Again.
Ciao.
Nice to talk to you again. Ciao. Well, thank you very much for this presentation and for this short course. Very useful indeed. And well, of knowledge, a lot of tools, a lot of experiences, case studies. You really are in the earth of the topic. It seems, but it's not. What is? I mean, it's not the topic of today, but what we really need is to work on mitigation measures and scenarios, trying to evaluate what and where are risks and which kind of mitigation measures we can apply, also to be deployed or considered within MSP plans, which are ongoing, as you know, and as we discussed. We have well, we need, first of all, the maps you are preparing with the frequencies and layers that you mentioned, that you showed in other areas. Then what we need to understand, and it's not a matter to be discussed today, I guess, we need a dedicated meeting on this, is how much and if we are able, using your tools, to simulate scenarios through some direct actions or indirect actions using proxies or other types of way of thinking. Because if we to test the what if that we can think of based on a risk analysis that we are developing, of course, and then we'll need your maps to be finalized. Otherwise, I mean, the risk analysis is going to be really weak. And after that, yes, we can try to build scenarios. So the point is, what can we really use to do this work, and if we will be able to use it for testing scenarios?
Yes. So to do, as you just mentioned, there, in my view, and I think we agree on that, there are two steps. The first step is to do a risk analysis. What is the risk of the current situation? Because if there is no risk, we don't need to develop any mitigation. If there is a risk somewhere, then it might be worse to develop a mitigation scenario. So the first step is to do the risk assessment. And here, with the maps you're going to receive, all the monthly maps and percentiles and all that, you will be able to combine this with the other information you have.
Yep.
To build a proper risk analysis at the scale of the Adriatic. And here you'll get all the materials you need to do this, which is basically the calculation of all these indicators I just illustrated, right? We just maybe need to think on, and maybe I can help on that, on what are the good metrics, which is not necessarily very easy, but that's maybe something we can work together. And the step after that is the mitigation. Okay, let's imagine the risk assessment, which tells us that in the middle of the Adriatic, you have a spot where here 100% of this area is exposed to very high noise all the time for the animals that are living there. Okay, here we have a risk. And then comes the mitigation development. Here, in the current agreement we have for the project, for the Adriatic project, it's not really planned to do more modeling based on the scenario, something like deviate a route or whatever, or speed limits or whatever. It's not included yet in the provision, in the delivery. Okay. Now the question is do you really have to implement also the mitigation in the framework of this project? Or is it something we can address in the Saturn project?
Well, we have to provide an analysis on mitigation measures and scenarios. How far we'll be able to go, it will depend on, of course, time, resources, availability of tools. That's why we have to understand clear what you can do depending on, of course, on the commitment you have, on the contract you have, and depending on the capability of the tools that you're using, your tools or the tools that are available. And you precised very well that some of the tools that you presented today are not, your tools, and we may be able to use them or not. It depends. So we are scouting now what is available to design a roadmap towards the design of measures, identification measures and scenarios based on the risk analysis that is ongoing and that is waiting for your maps.
Yes. Okay. So 100% sure you will have all the material to do the risk assessment. That's settled. What you don't have is what we just discussed, Giuliano, I think, which is if you provide, for example, a fictive AES data set, which corresponds to a given mitigation. And if you want to have the maps associated to this AES data set, this is not yet included, but we have the capacity, of course, to make it happen.
Let's go for the risk analysis then, and then we will see what is important can be done. Okay.
Right.
We want just, I'm sharing with you and the colleagues some thoughts we are developing with Giulio, preparing this kind of roadmap on risk analysis and mitigation measures. We know that, the scenario of traffic in the Northern Adriatic, as in the Mediterranean as a whole, is very dynamic, and the forecast is of a strong increase of the traffic containers, but not only containers. And therefore, it would be very useful, important, since we are kind of, informing planning decisions, management decisions, to look for the future. 10, 20, 30 years ahead. And there are estimations on future traffic scenarios. So we were wondering, we are building those scenarios, and we'd like to see and discuss with you how much we can test, considering the constraints we have, these future scenarios. So not only today mitigation measures, but potential needed mitigation measures for 20 years from now.
Excellent. Yes. Okay.
But we will, as soon as we are waiting for your maps.
Yes, I'm waiting for the data, so it's
okay. It's okay.
Let me say this because maybe, I don't know if you were at the steering committee last week, Andrea.
No. Giulio was
Thomas is ready to produce the maps. We stopped him because we are still checking the final results of the processing tool. So it's not that we need to be sure, 100% sure that the data we provide to QuietOceans are the best to calibrate the model in order to avoid double work.
Do you have a date, an estimation, Fantina, Thomas, on when the first maps will be available?
The testing now, we have done a test on synthetic data where we agreed with the 3 different kind of procedures, so processing procedures, and they agreed with that. And now the processing tool is, so Jakub is checking with this, he produced this synthetic data that can be read also by the processing application, and is producing the final results to check. So I hope that that we will solve this. If next week, I hope we will have a final results on that.
So January, we are expecting to have the maps or
yes. Thomas said that they will need one month once they start, to generate the first map.
To generate the first month, yes. To generate, I think we start in March, if I'm correct. So once we receive the data to calibrate the maps and to produce the final maps, you should count for 1 month. It might be that it gets faster and faster as we go. then for the following months.
Yeah, once I think the most work will be done to calibrate, to first set up the calibration and everything, and once it's set up, it's probably going faster. It's the same problem with us, like the problem was to set up all the data flow and the processing tool. But once the processing tool is checked, and we also have synthetic data that we can use every time we change something in the software. So it's really good to have that, so that every time we change a library or something like that, we can still go back to this test files and check that everything's working correctly. Once we have done that, we were pretty quick so in principle, the data are already all processed, but of course, if there are discrepancies or something, we will have to reprocess them, but this is very quick to do. So once we're, I hope that before Christmas, we will have all the data with the correct results processed.
And just to understand, the first maps or block of maps that will be produced will be what, 1 month, March, and then you will continue, or will be directly at this stage a block from March to, I don't know, June or what?
No, 1 month. We are going to yes, it's monthly blocks. Yes.
Thanks.
Is there anything else to discuss before we go to the tool itself? Okay, so maybe I will stop that one. Okay. All right, so okay, I checked that before. I'm going to sign out. Okay. So to go to the tool, you have to go to that address here, which is QoS.QuietOceans.com. Okay, you will arrive at this page and you just sign in here. You have an account already. I think, Fantina, you should have the details of the account. Here, I
click on and use it.
Okay, perfect. Here, I'm logging to my account just to show I don't have the access code to your account. Then from the back office. Anyway, here we are interested in this area. So the first page is the map where you will see the area. So you have 2 areas. One is covering the full the North Adriatic. The other one is centered around sorry, what's the name of the place? Lozinj. And this is an interactive map, so you can zoom in and zoom out, and you can select the area you're interested in. Then we'll have to go to the visualization page. Well, actually, if you select your map here, now this one is selected, it's in blue. You can also click here directly on the modeling results. Because this is just test I've done, okay? So there is no real results so far. It's just for illustration. So now the system is just screening the database to see what maps are available in this area. So it takes so here it takes a little bit of time, maybe because with the Visio conference the bandwidth is maybe limited, but it's looking at all the available maps. or maybe I can explain the rest. So the maps will be displayed here, and you have here 4 control here to display the maps. The first one is you are going to be able to select the depth layer among the 3 that are available. You'll be able to select the frequency band. You'll be able to select the percentile, and you'll be able to select the kind of statistics you have. Okay, so let me do this one, which is a test. I will select. So we go directly to the area, and you have a first map that is here. The name of the map here, ambient noise level, entire water column, 250 Hertz, 10th percentile. And you will find this again here. So the depth layer is the entire water column, but I can select the surface layer, for example, and he will update the map. This is for the surface layer. So here you have a layer manager, so you know what you're looking at. Ambient noise level, surface layer, 250 Hertz, 10th percentile. Okay, and then you can out, of course. And you the frequency here in that test, I just made a test at 250 Hertz. Okay, so I just have one available. But you will have. Is that clear? The frequencies we need to. I know there is 63, 125. Is it clear, the list of frequencies we need to model? I have a doubt. Yes, it's clear. Okay, it has been defined. Okay.
Yeah, it's 63, 125, 250, and 4,000.
Okay, good. So that would appear here once it's ready. And here, the percentile. So you always have 7 percentiles that is delivered. Okay, so here you can change. This is now here by default the 10th percentile, but you can select the median level here, for example. Up, voila. This is the median level. All right. And then you can select what type of data. In your case, it's going to be monthly statistics, because available will be monthly maps for where it's a live modeling. So you will have more high resolution in the statistics. I will show you. Okay, so you can add, if you want, you can add the bathymetry to look at some specific effects. So now it's loading the either mass here to the map. It's a little bit slow, but usually it's not that slow. Okay, so here he has added the. So if you have some strange effects and you want to check if this, you can superpose both things. And then you have an interesting tool. So here you can go full screen if you wish. Up, that's full screen. Okay, and you go back to the one with the menu. All right, you can zoom in and out here with this, and here you have a button which is called Observer. So the Observer is something quite interesting. You can add a specific area you are interested in. Okay, maybe you're not interested in the full area, but just in one specific region. So you can add some polygons here, polygon or a point, a circle, or a disk to the map, so that an analysis will be done on that object. So for example, if I use a polygon, let's say I'm interested in, for example, okay, and I'm interested here because whatever reason, I'm interested in that place here. I don't know, here, it goes here and here. distribution I'm interested in that place. My place, okay, I can save that one. So now it's in my catalog of objects. And what the tool has done is to do a special analysis in this polygon. So it tells you what is the minimum value, the maximum value in the polygon, the mean value, and the standard deviation. And it gives you a distribution here of proportion of area. Oh, here is something here, and the decibels here. Okay, so the decibels that are currently in the map. All right, it gives you the distribution. So here for that, what is it, a day? It's a daily statistics. So for that particular day, in that particular region, the noise was distributed like this, from 84 to 90 decibels, and 30 89 decibels. Right? And so this is my favorite place. And you can also have access to the catalog of Natura 2000 places. Now what it's doing, it's looking at the catalog of Natura 2000 sites and look at which site is included in the map, in the total map. Okay, in the big one, in the whole region. So you have quite a number of Natura 2000 places, as I can see. Wow, that's an impressive list. I have no idea what would be interesting to look at. Maybe you know better than me. Do you have a favorite one? Yeah, one is not too coastal.
Maybe close to Lucino.
Okay, anyway, let's select that one. I don't know. Preloaded, tell us. Okay, okay. Oh, it's here. All right. Okay, so I can add to my private catalog, and again, what the tool the contour of the Natura 2000 places here, and what the tool is going to do is that for that particular day, for the map that is here, it will calculate as well the distribution, which here in that day was very simple, very smooth. So you can in the other one you have a polygon, but you can have a point source if you want to check one particular point and give a name and change the latitude and longitude if you wish. And then it will give you, if you click, let me see. Okay, it will give you the value at that particular point in the map. Okay, so that's quite limited. It can be a circle. So you click on the center and then you can add a circle as a, or you can add, so here what he's calculating is the distribution along the line, all right? This is quite interesting for the Germans because they have this regulation at 750 meters from a piling. I'll put the line here at 750 meters and it gives you how the sound is distributed along the circle. And then you can do the same, but for a disk. In that disk, it will calculate what is the distribution in the disk, so inside, instead of the border. Okay. So this is basically how you can access the maps visually by hand. I will prepare. Here now I'm connected to your account, Soundscape, and the live modeling is running since the 8th of September. So here we have one image every 15 minutes or so that is produced, okay? And then every day you have a statistical map that is produced as every day after midnight. So here I already selected the Lausanne set ambient noise. Here it's the entire watercolor. And here it's a broadband modeling. So here this is a broadband noise, but you can also select one particular sort or octave. All right. Sorry, third octave. If you want to display just the 500, for example. So here, for example, it should come. It's loading the data. I can continue maybe. So here is the 5th percentile that has been selected. And it's here you have all the different statistics because so you have the instantaneous modeling that is done every 15 minutes or so or half an hour. And at the end of the day, he produced the daily statistics. At the end of the month, he produced a monthly statistics. And at the end of the week, a weekly statistic. So you can select which one you are. As you see, it takes a little bit of time to load. I will go back to the broadband. And here you have all the kind of timeline of what is available. It has started the 8th of November. It's still running. So here I have the 1st of December. And the 2nd of December probably as well here. Okay. Daily statistics. And you can have it here. I hope it's not going to be too slow. Might be. It's very slow. I will shut down my video. Comment je fais ça? How do I switch off my video? I don't know.
To be able to, where there is a via video, to click on that and to stop it in the lower part. Where you
Yes.
activate and disactivate audio, you just to the right, you have a via video, and you can click on that and it should switch off.
Yes, I don't have the menu from the start. I don't know why. Mostra vista personnelle, c'est pas ça? Non visuale al specchio, non? Ouais, je peux commencer par ça. Well, it's strange.
I don't know why you don't have the.
The only thing I have is this. I don't know, but there is no control.
How did you do your sharing if you don't have the instruments in the bottom?
Yeah, I had another window first, but it's not there anymore. Let me see.
I don't know.
I don't even have the icon for the apps, or maybe where? Or maybe it's here. Maybe this is the one. No.
Well, just a question.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, last time. It's possible to distinguish some time at this moment. Since yes.
Giulio, we cannot hear you.
I will write in the chat, sorry.
Okay, I found maybe you have to go to Visualizza, so to visualize, Visualizza in the upper part. And then there is Mostra Controlli Riunione. And you have to click on that. And it should come again the
Mostra? No.
Mostra Controlli Riunione.
No. I just have these 4 options here. If you can see it.
In Visual.
Where is the visualization menu? I don't have that. It's very strange.
So you're now in the, so if you have can you go to the Cisco WebEx meeting in that one?
That's what I have.
This is okay, where you have access, and then
Yes.
and then you did it online, right? You didn't
Yes, I
download.
clicked here. Yes, that's why maybe it's.
That's why that you have different settings. Because I'm sorry, I don't know how to how to do it because I don't know. I don't know if
Okay.
Andrea knows. Maybe he did other meetings. I don't know. Like I don't know the WebEx if you are on the web, on the browser.
Because here I'm completely blocked. Well, anyway, I can explain. When you click on the player, it will just go through all the different maps you have in your time series. And again, you have the same option here to, sorry. Oops, you have the same option here. You can add an observer, same, and you can change the color bar here. It's usually auto scale, but if you want to have your own maximum and minimum, if you want to play with that, you can change. Okay, yeah, there is no more communication here. I don't know why. I think I don't have enough bandwidth. But that's basically how you will access manually to the interface. You have something important. If I move that guy here, you have a feedback and support, so you can ask questions here directly, questions about what is happening to your account, and if you have something you don't understand or you want to do, you just ask the question here, and someone is going to answer the question. That's basically the two pages you're going to use is my area and visualization, because you're not going to request modeling, because we are doing this in the back office when we receive the data, the measured data. So you're not be able to order new stuff. Okay, if you want to do something extra, an extra modeling somewhere, you won't be able to do that. Now, it's not the only way to access the maps. There is another way. I'm going to show you. Oh, wait a minute. Zit. Alors, okay, it's bad. Give me a second. I think it's this one, probably. I close that one. So yes, here it is. There is an API, okay, which is kind of well, the IT people, they know what I'm talking about. It's an application programmable interface, which allows you to access the maps that are in the database directly without going through this web interface. Okay, it's very useful if you want to get the data from another system. Okay, so this is existing. You can do a number of things, but since you won't be able, the areas are already defined, so you won't be able to do this and to create or to order some other modeling, because we do that on the back office for you. What you'll be able to do is to browse and download the maps. And there is a tile map service. So this is, to get some different kind of resolution. That's something you can do through the API. And the API can also notify you when there is a new map or something has changed in the database, like like a new data. You have a documentation that is available. So there are two links. We click on the first link. Okay. Yeah, I think I have I think my internet is completely down. Okay.
You want to try to get out and come back without the video, maybe?
Let me check. Okay, that one seems better. Okay, so this is more for really technical people. I'm not sure and it's everything here, but people who are familiar with using API, you have a full documentation of everything you can do with the API with some examples. So I don't know, is someone here in the room familiar with this? Are you still there?
No.
Or-
I mean, I'm not familiar with this, but
Oh,
I
no
think
one is familiar.
someone is familiar. Maybe, I don't know, Stefano Menegon, I don't know, Giulio or Amedeo, like they're not in the meeting, but we
Okay,
can ask
okay.
them
So
to
they will
help us.
certainly, yeah, they will understand that very better than I do. It's very standard so you have all the documentation that is available here, all right? And you can always contact the support if you want some help. No problem. There is also a PDF document I can send you, which explains how it works. So this is something you can then put in your platform. And this guy is going to take the data from Quonops automatically, okay, from a program. Okay, so with that module API, you'll be able to program whatever data you need to have access to.
I have a question.
Yes.
So first question is which format is provided the noise level data? Is NetCDF?
NetCDF, yes. And it's also explained, the format is explained
In the manual.
probably. And we have a documentation for that. But it's a NetCDF, so it's quite easy to read.
Okay, and so I can download every day the noise level for each frequency considered in the project.
Exactly. In the API, you will have to specify the frequency you're interested in, the name of the area, what else? The kind of statistics you are interested in, and all the data will come in.
And I can I make some average of the data directly in the platform, or I have to download all the data and manage the statistics with my NCDF routine?
If you want other statistics than the monthly statistics that is already calculated, you will have to develop that yourself.
Okay.
But you will already have a monthly statistics. So
yes, no, I think that is enough, but it was to be so just for curiosity or to play a bit with the daily data.
Yeah, and in Logina you have all this. You have the instance, but you have the day, the week, the months available already. So here it's just a matter to select in the API to select what statistics you are interested in.
Okay, and how is the, so if I wanted to see the data, I don't know, when the modeling activity is ended, there is an backup archive?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Everything is archived on our servers.
Okay.
And it's going to be available as long as you wish.
Okay. Okay.
On our platform, we won't throw away any data, right?
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else?
Sorry, maybe I miss it, but so we can download all the maps, all the noise maps, is correct?
All maps, yes, you can download.
Yes, and which format are? Is GeoTIFF?
NetCDF. NetCDF.
NetCDF.
Yes. Well, actually, où est-ce que c'est ça? Oh là là. Où est-ce que c'est? There should be a button somewhere where you can export. But the default there is a place where you're supposed to be able to export in JPEG as well the image that is currently displayed, and but I can't see that button anymore. I don't know why. It's supposed to be here. Okay. SDF is the format it comes.
Okay.
Thomas, I have another question.
Yeah.
Okay, the maps is produced every day, but it's a three-dimensional map, so I have also the vertical layers, or is averaged on the water column?
It's calculated in the 3 dimensions, but then it's far too big in 3 dimensions. So what we provide is only 2-dimensional maps, where the depth is, it's not averaged. It's it's part of the percentile. Okay. So,
okay.
And that's why we have 3 depth layer. So 3 depth range. You know, either from the surface to the bottom, surface to 15 meters, or 7 meters to the bottom.
Okay. So it's the vertical structure is simplified, but it's okay. There is okay.
Well, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
Je suis carrément sorti. Ok. Any other question?
I have a question. do we, just to CNR, have access to this data, or can we share also with the other partners? This I don't know.
Yes. It's your account, so you can share it with whoever you want.
Okay, so we can share our password and
Yes.
to with the other partners. Okay, so this is the answer to Broy that asked me that. And Julia had another question on the chat. So it's possible to distinguish between different vessel types?
No, here it's all vessels together, all the shipping traffic.
Okay. Thank you. So if there are no further questions, maybe we can finish here, and then maybe we can contact you again when we have the first maps, and then see
Yes.
when we have the real results. And I mean, we will have to maybe set up another short, maybe not the maybe not the 4 hours webinar, but I mean a short meeting where we can discuss the results to understand them better, and to see if we understood them correctly after your description of today. That I mean, it was very nice and very clear, and showed us how important it is, this project, I think. Because it has a real big potential, all this data in comparison with single point measurements. And so I really thank you for this. And I don't know if anybody else wants to add something. Otherwise, maybe we can let you go. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's a good idea to have a meeting when we do the first delivery of the first months. We will organize something so that we can guide you with the real results this time.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Okay, if nobody has anything else to say, I would ask you to show your face, so maybe I can also take a picture of you. If you're still there, if you're still alive.
I cannot.
Yeah. It's good to see you, actually.
I have to turn on also my video. I'm still alive.
It's much more friendly.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for your very interesting presentation. Very good work, very helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Still a few missing.
And I don't manage because I don't manage to close the video of I don't manage to close the video of Thomas. So I don't have your maybe someone else can get it. I don't know.
I can. There are still four video not turned on. I can take one.
Now I can. Now I manage. Sorry.
Okay.
It's
It's time to smile then.
Okay. So thanks a lot, everybody, and okay, keep in touch, and hopefully we'll have the results soon, the processing, and we will tell you as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I will send you the link of the meeting. Ciao, ciao.